Good evening, everyone. Our presentation is about cultural differences in the world. This presentation was made by Fabrícia and me, Alan. And in general, after this presentation, you learned a little more about cultural differences in education and international business, dimension of culture, and the dangers that we must avoid.
What is culture? This is difficult to define, but culture can be defined as all the behaviors, ways of life, arts, beliefs, and instructions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Here we have the cultural iceberg with the values easy and difficult to see. Easy to see is language, folklore, food, fine arts, and difficult to see is self-concept, family roles, body language, and pride. What is the role of the language in culture? Language, the spoken and unspoken nonverbal communication such as a facial expression, personal space, and hand gestures, means of communication. Nonverbal body communication or body communication. Example, hands movements. The Italians speak with moving hands. Head movements. The Indian moves your head. Body contact. Sounds, posture, and appearance. What is the role of education in culture? Formal education is the medium through which individuals learn many of the language, conceptual, and mathematical skills that are indispensable in a modern society. The ranking best for education in Europe is the first, United Kingdom, second, Germany, and third, Netherlands.
Another very important question about culture is how do cultural differences affect international business? And when companies are going to operate in other markets, for example, to open a new industry in another country, they must understand how the country cultures works, how people dress, what they eat, and what people's traditions. Here on this slide, we can see, for example, to make it easier to understand what I'm talking about. In India, people don't eat beef because cows are sacred to Indians. So McDonald's has a vegetarian menu there. The Portuguese love soup, so that the same restaurant had soup on the menu. Portugal is the only place in the world where McDonald's sells soup for the clients on the menu. Now, another example. This one comes from France. Everyone knows that the French are always elegant. The shampoo are they are sold in pharmacies and not in supermarkets. For the French, it's very ugly to buy a shampoo to find dandruff in a supermarket. Friends, you notice that the person has dandruff. Germany is one of the most sustainable countries in the world, and knowing that today the whole world is more concerned with environmental problems, environmental issues. The Adidas brand is selling sneakers with made with plastic take the oceans. Now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the dimensions of culture. A Dutch psychologist interviewed for years many employers from many countries in order to create the dimensions of the culture. For example, in the graph, we can see that the distance to power is greater in Brazil and China than in Germany in the United States. That is, in Brazil and China, there is a lot of capacity inequality. Regarding individualism, we can see that the people who are born in Germany or in the United States are more individualistic than Brazilian and Chinese people. We can see that people in Germany are more concerned with long-term issues. In contrast, in other hand, people in the United States are more concerned with today and now. Indulgence is the ability to enjoy free time. For example, going out to dance, going out with friends, that is, doing things out of the routine. In this category, Brazil and the United States have high values. That is, people in these societies make better use of their free time. Now we're gonna talk about high contest and low contest. Maybe this will be the first time that you are hearing about it. Well, the communication system of the countries is divided into these two parts, high contest and low contest. In the low contest, communication is more detailed and poor in terms of body language. For example, it's difficult to imagine the German speak by moving his arms a lot. On the other hand, in the high context, people have less detailed communication and are rich in terms of body language. For example, an Italian moves his arms a lot to speak. A Japanese man moves his arms a lot. A Japanese man gives a receipt with some gaps because he expects the person to already know. Brazil is situated in the high context. People focus on human relationship and non-verbal communication. Globalization has changed many things in our lives and has consequently brought about cultural changes. And the big brands like Coca, Nike, Samsung, Lego, these big brands have played at this role. They have a great ability to influence people to buy more and more and without asking questions. In my opinion, these brands change people's consumption habits, but not entirely the culture of a country. In addition, people can value more aspects of the cultures, especially difference in thinking because regardless of the country we are born in, we all have the same value. Different point of view make our society better.
What are the dangers of the cultural changes? In this map, we can see that Spain is related to most likely. In United Kingdom, related to most reserved. In Italy, related to most attractive. In Germany, related to most trustworthy. In France, related to most rudest. Another danger is the prejudice. In some developed countries, people have prejudice with foreign. This advertisement show a campaign against the xenophobia in Africa because the people find for a world safe and equal.
To summarize our presentation, it's important to respect the differences between people and cultures. Each person has great value in our society and can teach us incredible things. Now, Fabrícia will leave a final message for you.
Joy is only full when shared. We would like to thank you for all the learning and friendship, and that was very valid all the course time and each of you continuing in our minds and hearts. Thank you to thank you, teachers Wellington and Isaias, for the dedication and lessons. We hope to see you soon. A big hug. We are the champions! Thank you.